of Audit Committee Chair, and then we need a second for that.
I second that.
So moved.
Okay. Hang on, I'm going between.
Wait, so
screens
who
here.
made the motion?
I did.
Deborah?
Daniel, Vice Chair. Oh, sorry, the current Vice Chair. And it was seconded by Marwan. Okay, so now we have to cast a vote, a roll call. So let's do that in compliance with Robert's Rules of Order. All in favor of Anna Mockler for Audit Committee Chair, please say so when I call your name. Deborah McDaniel,
Yes.
Marwan Cameron,
Yes.
Eric Younger.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does the auditor have a vote? Yeah, Christine, please go ahead.
Anna, did you cast a vote?
Oh, I vote in favor of Anna Mockler. Okay, thank you.
Please unanimously.
Yeah. Okay, and now we are going to move along to elect the Vice Chair. Are there any nominations for the position of Audit Committee Chair?
Vice Chair, you mean?
Yes, thank you. I'm reading off the same script. Any nominations for the Audit Committee Vice Chair?
And nominate Deborah McDaniel as vice chair.
I second the nominate. Can I second the nomination?
You
I'll
don't have
accept
to,
it.
but I
No, you
concur
don't
as
have
well, so that's unanimous.
Okay. Can we kind of zoom through these Zoom rules then a little more quickly? Okay, does nominate, are there any other nominations? Nope, seeing none. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Are there still 0 attendees?
Yes, there are no attendees in Zoom or in the conference room.
Okay then. I'm closing public comment, and I'm going to make a motion to cast a vote for Deborah McDaniel for the position of Audit Committee Vice Chair. May I have a second, please?
I second that.
Okay, roll call. Deborah McDaniel.
Oh, sure, why not?
Okay, Marwan.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it's
All
unanimous.
right.
Oop-de-doo. Okay. Now let us move on to item 4, the December 18th, 2023 meeting minutes. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Next, under item 5, I'm sorry. Did someone have something on that? Okay. Next, under item 5, Auditor Jenny Sims will provide a landlord licensing compliance review update. Please go ahead, Auditor Sims.
Okay, so because we have a new member on the committee, I'll just kind of recap what I'm doing. I'm going through a database from the Kitsap County Assessor's Office of all the housing in Bremerton, and I'm reviewing certain characteristics that would be typical of a rental and identifying those properties so that I come up with a list of likely rental properties in Bremerton. I think I'm finally done going through that list, and now I'm going identifying which ones look like they're probably a rental and then segregating them from those that look like a non-rental. And I'm going to submit the rental list to IT, and they will run a match against the city's database of current licensed landlords so that we will know who likely is not licensed in the city of Bremerton. So I just finished going through the list today, and I'm ready to submit it over to IT. I'm not sure how long. I don't think it takes them long to run the match, but I'm not sure where I'll fall among the other projects that they may have on their plate. Okay. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a comment, Jenny, or a question actually. So hopefully it's changed, but years ago, the city's database would only allow you to put so many locations. So if a landlord had 30 locations, they can only put, let's say, 10 on the form. So if you run this by, first question is, have they updated it so a landlord put all his or her locations on the form? Entered into the system?
Okay, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so that could be an issue, obviously. And then the second thing is, once you have this list, what's the next step? Because you don't want to necessarily accuse someone of not having a license. There's penalty provisions, but I would assume the proof is upon us to prove that they don't have a license. So what is going to be the next step?
Well, we talked a little bit about that, the audit committee, and I don't think that the next step will be on the audit committee. It will be on Andrea's department. And I would think, I mean, in my mind, it would be sending out a letter, not accusing them of being an unlicensed landlord, but inquiring and letting them know that indeed, that it appears that they may have a rental property, and if they do, they need to be in compliance with the code and have a license. I mean, something to that effect. I haven't. It wouldn't be on me to come up with the language of the letter, but that's what I would recommend. Is it?
And then what does this committee do if DCD does nothing with it?
I mean, in fact, Andrea has already spoken to the committee, the Auditor Sims, about the current low staffing at code enforcement.
Yeah, she expressed concern that, they don't have adequate staffing to necessarily do the follow-up on this. And they were concerned that we would be doing a project that would end up going nowhere because they don't have the staffing for it. But it was the committee's decision to worry about that next.
So I agree with you guys. I think that sounds great. We'll just see what the results are. I assume the committee will get to see the results before you turn it over to DCD in the form of a report.
Yep.
That sounds great.
Yeah, well, that was Deb that said that.
Yeah, I can only speak for Jenny, right? Sorry.
Oftentimes, I mean, I do review with the department head to make sure that they're okay with the methodology and, and then and if they say, well, I think that you should do this or that to amend it, I can make those changes before I bring the draft project to the committee for approval.
Okay.
And then you guys ultimately approve it with any other amendments you may have, but that's kind of what the process has been.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does any other member of this committee have a question or comment on the update on the landlord license compliance? Okay.
Right now, I look forward to the final report. This has been interesting. And it'd be a shame if it goes nowhere. Maybe that's something we can take to council too,
And I will comment further, Eric, on one of the things that you mentioned about the city system not being able to enter all of the properties for a particular landlord. Not sure that would really affect my analysis, for one, because the way our licensing currently works, it doesn't matter how many properties you have, just whether or not you're a landlord. So you need one license, whether you have 30 properties or one, which I believe that's an issue for some council members. But and even if our system, if the city system doesn't track that, I do have it in my database from the assessor's office. So there's only a few entities that have a lot of properties. You know, one has a whole bunch of properties, and then, you know, maybe a couple had in the neighborhood of 10, and then others are less than 10 for the most part. I won't say that I've looked at every single one, but it's something of that magnitude.
Okay, so then you're cross-referencing then. So let's say it's ABC LLC, and they only put 20 locations on the license, but you come up with 100 parcels that belong to ABC LLC. You're not just giving them the parcels, you're giving them DCD, the ownership, so they could say, you know what I'm saying? So that way we're not going, these 100 parcels without identifying the owner appear to be rental properties. Check it against your system. You're giving them the complete information. So we'll be able to reconcile it, or you will, it sounds like.
Yeah, I have a complete list, and I don't see anyone that has 120 properties. Now, I'm not counting an apartment building that has 40 properties in a, you know, it probably just shows up as one parcel in my analysis.
Yeah, I do believe I know of at least one person that has over 100 properties in the city, individual houses.
Is that a trust?
I don't know how he owns it, but I do know this individual, yes.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing anyone with 100.
He's got to be way up there, but anyways, I look forward to seeing the report.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Jenny. Anything further on this? Okay. So item number 6 is the next item on the agenda. We're going to discuss a proposed update to the audit work plan. Oh, shoot. There was no action under item 5, so did I need to call for the public? This is still new to us.
It's an error on my part.
Okay, so does any member of the public wish to comment on the landlord licensing compliance review update?
I see one attendee, but it's a city staffer, and I'm not seeing a hand raised.
Okay,
There's still no hands.
all right then. Closing item number 5, moving on to item 6, proposed update to the audit work plan. Auditor Sims, please take it away.
Okay, well, for one, because I'm kind of wrapping up, or I'm transitioning from one project to the next. I mean, I still have work to do on the landlord license compliance, but while IT has it in their hands, I will need to have the next project to work on. So I'll just need to know what the committee wants me to do next. And a question came up whether we want to add something, I don't think it's on here already, but for the procurement and disposal code to review whether certain transactions have been in compliance with that. And so I don't know if the committee is interested in adding that to the list. I don't know if you want me to elaborate on that, Anna, or if you wanted to talk about it, or...
I will talk about it to the best of my limited knowledge. One of the concerns that I've heard expressed is, for example, the recent use of the mayor's discretionary funds to purchase architecture and engineering services for a project that would well exceed $100,000, which I believe is called bid splitting. There seems to be a question as to whether architecture and engineering services are fully exempt. They appear to be in the RCW, but I am neither a lawyer nor an accountant. It's just something that, I was asked to bring to this committee, so I'm doing it.
My question is, does this fall under the, we've got something on the work plan called procurement policies. Is this a part of that, or is it something, oh, yeah, it evolved, it says, from the parking thing. So is this part of that, or is it a separate or a sub piece, or? I'm asking questions. I don't know the answers.
I think that it's,
Yeah, please go ahead, Auditor Sims.
yeah, I think it's, you know, when you look at procurement, it's a whole field. You don't typically audit everything about procurement. And I think that what we're talking about right now is different from what is currently on the work plan, which is more the city's criteria for when they're going to request bids or use a sole source contract or existing contract. So it's a different part of procurement.
Got it. Okay, good, thanks.
In 2022, the bid level that required council approval was $25,000, and that was raised to $100,000. So this is an aspect of it.
Right.
I'm really bringing this to you, or if this is being brought to you to see what you think. That's it. Because procurement policies is pretty much near the top of our list of our work plan.
Yeah, although as Jenny just pointed out, it's not really even a sub piece of that. It's a separate little bucket of procurement.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it would be adding something to the work plan, and then you would want to decide where it lands in terms of priority. You know, is it the next project, or are we going to, you know, move down the list, or however you want to do it?
Okay. Does any member of this committee have a comment on this item?
Guess my question is, what is the potential time frame if we were to prioritize this?
Do you mean how long it would take?
Mhm.
Well, again, it's a particular transaction that triggered the review or the idea for the review. So if we're going to stay focused on that, and you know, I don't think it would take real long.
So the question is, though, that's the only transaction that we're aware of. Don't you think, Jenny, we'd want to look at all the transactions that the mayor has executed to look at the, I mean, that could open up a whole, I think it's a valid concern that, what did you call it, Hannah?
Bid splitting.
Bid splitting.
Bid splitting.
So in the forensic accounting world, we could also call it structuring or smurfing. And I'm not alleging any of that, but I think it's interesting because we have the legislative intent. You know, we gave this administration they asked for it to go from 25,000 to 100,000 without council looking at it, and I think it would be interesting to see if they followed that legislative intent. So the question is how far back would you look? I guess I would go for a starting point from the date that the council increased it to 100,000 going forward, and seeing if that's realistic, and then looking at those transactions where the council wasn't involved and they end up costing more than 100,000. How did that all work? So I think what you're saying is that this one with the shelter or whatever ended up being over 100,000. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that would be one to look at. I don't know if there's any more, but maybe we could look again using that start date of when the council changed the ordinance last in 2022. So I also think the procurement one's a very valid one to look at too. It seems like the history of this is that I've been seeing more sole source letters, and all it requires is the director or the second in command there for the department to write a letter to file, basically saying, I looked at this and yeah, this satisfies the requirements, but does it? We just put it in the file, and I guess does the state auditor look at those on every audit, or do they look at them at all? Or is it just always the memo on the file? So that'd be an interesting one as well.
Well,
Yeah, and I still have a soft spot in my heart, so to speak, around parking, because I feel like the city spends an awful lot of money on our parking enforcement contracts, and I'm not convinced that we're getting value for money. And I know cities go back and forth on this. I think the city used to do its own enforcement, and I don't know if there was history prior to that where they didn't, but it wouldn't surprise me. So I just, I hate to give that up. We've kicked that can down the road for a while, and their contract will be up again next year. It would be nice to do some initial analysis before we're in that next phase of contract negotiation. And does that department want any help from us on that from an analytics standpoint? So that's my 2 cents on that.
we know you have a soft spot for parking. Marvin, did you have a comment on this?
Just listening to Deborah's comments, I would concur with that.
Okay. For me, this proposed update and addition to the work plan is a matter of items that are going to cost greater than $100,000 being properly and duly brought before City Council. That is, as Eric pointed out, the legislative intent of it. So for me, that's why this is a big deal. On the other hand, I like democracy. If the majority of this committee is going to vote for something else, I'm just making this final plea for it. That's it.
So I guess what I was saying, I like both.
Both procurement.
Procurement and the one that we were just talking about, the so-called bid splitting.
You know, I think the bid splitting is actually in the BMC is where we have that term from, Eric.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't magically acquire.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound intransigent. I would be fine with postponing parking, but I'd like a tighter definition of what we're going after, maybe review in the next meeting, I don't know, and some kind of relative timeline for it so we don't keep pushing this down the road.
That was my inquiry.
Okay. Okay, so we seem to be at a bit of an impasse. Do you want to, basically our VMC is based on an RCW. Yeah, okay, so you understand so what's the additional information that would help you make that you would
Well,
like for making a decision?
So we've got estimated, the work plan contains a description and objective, and so I'd like something succinct there so that I'm sure I know what I'm voting on and approving to move in, slot into the work plan. And there's an estimated duration, and it'd be nice to have just a ballpark. Obviously, I know Jenny doesn't know what she doesn't know, so, but 6 months, 4 months, 2 weeks? I know that's a fantasy, but, whatever.
Jenny, do you feel
So those two things.
do you feel comfortable making an estimation of duration?
No, not without having any information. Yeah, I'd like to do a little scratching to see. Not 6 months, less than that. 2 to
Okay.
4, 2 to 4 maybe.
All right, that seems reasonable.
Eric, please go ahead.
I'm just looking at the work plan. It took some time to get it. So are we voting on the entire work plan as it's presented here? Because it obviously have took more than 12 months.
You're a bit muffled, Eric.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I was scanning with the iPad with my thumb. I must have been covering up the speaker. It's the work plan is more than 12 months. So are we going over every item on the work plan, or are we just kind of, what are we doing here?
I think we're just deciding whether to add the bid splitting procurement item to the work plan, and then deciding what to work on next.
Okay.
Yeah, Eric, typically, when we review the work plan every meeting, even just a cursory review, but often we'll look at it and go, oh, this doesn't seem as important as it was 6 months or a year ago if it's been on the plan a while.
Okay.
And so things can drop to the bottom of the list and things can bubble to the top, and then we try to prioritize the top 3 or 4 so that Jenny's got some clarity about what's next.
All right. So the clarity is she has the plans 2024. She has 3 items, and the question is, do we put that one, the bid split as a 4th item? Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have a comment on this item? So we have 3 possibilities before us, as far as I can see. The procurement item that's already on the work plan. The bid splitting item with an estimated duration of 2 to 4 months, and moving forward on the parking plan. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, yeah.
There's actually 2 parking audits on there.
Okay.
So,
And I was referring to the first one, first of the 2 on there when I was talking earlier.
Okay. Hang on, one of these documents just disappeared from my screen, for the nature of fun. Come on, I go. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. The 2 parkings, the third party contract compliance. Well, the parking enforcement cost, the comment is that it has to be performed before the parking compliance review, yeah?
that's what we decided a while back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, what is the estimated duration of that? Because that's to be determined in our work plan.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm just asking because the vice chair wants to know.
Well, it was, yeah, it's fine. It seems to me like what we're considering is between landlord license compliance and parking enforcement cost, slotting in bid splitting. And then maybe we can table until a future meeting whether procurement policies or parking enforcement cost come next. The order of those next 3 items after the bid splitting gets inserted as number 2 priority. Does that encapsulate what you were thinking, Anna and Eric and Jenny?
Yeah, that'd be great. And put much more succinctly than I could.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
Marwan, do you have any objection to moving forward with what we're calling the bid split item?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Alrighty then. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Does any member of the public wish to comment on item 6?
Hey, we have no attendees.
Excellent. Okay, then we are moving on to agenda item number 7, other matters. Does any member of this committee have another matter they would like to bring up at this time?
Only that I will likely not be here for our next meeting. It depends on when we schedule it for. So just
That is actually an
Fair
agenda
warning.
item that's coming right up.
so we can talk about that.
Okay. Eric?
No, I'm good. I was just looking at the, excuse me, the work plan. You got lots of good things. The B&O tax one, I'd really be excited about, but I think the, whatever we come up with is going to fall with a similar, reception the landlord license compliance is going to have. But I think that's potentially a lot of money that we could be, who knows, but that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's I shouldn't say anything, no editorial comment. That's very important. So we'll see. And then the written policy compilation. So I would think this would be basically, Jenny, to assess the internal controls, see what written policies there are, and then actually at some point test the internal controls. And specifically, I'm looking for, I don't know if the city does this or the state auditor does this, but you know, the typical things you look at in CFE world, ghost employees, fake company invoices or accounts payable, separation of duties, so that one person's not creating the document and approving it all at the same time, all that good stuff. And like credit card usage, is it pre-approved before the credit card is used? Is there a policy of what you can use your credit card for? Is it reviewed by a supervisor? And then is there, for lack of a better term, an audit of that supervisor or that whole process on a sampling basis to make sure policies are being followed? Is that what the intent of the written policy compilation is?
Jenny, you're muted.
Sorry, I had a dog barking in the background. That is not what this was intended to do. Our former CPA just wanted a list of all the policies that the city has.
Okay. So maybe what I just mentioned is if you haven't done that before, maybe that's something for 25, 26, because the worst thing that could happen, and I have no belief that this is happening, but you know, Jenny, is you have a longtime city employee And then something happens, they go on vacation, I'm on the audit committee now. I don't want to be that person that says, oh yeah, we missed that. So, you know what I'm saying? Because it happens. There's all kinds of cases throughout the country of city officials that have no internal controls. There's a famous one, I forgot where, but it's about some city finance director out in the east or the Midwest. I remember reading about it. Jenny, I'm sure you've heard of this case, but she spent millions of dollars on horses. She had an unexplained lifestyle, and this went on for like 15, 20 years, and finally she went on vacation and it all came out. There's all kinds of anecdotal cases. I just don't want it happening here for many reasons, including if I'm on the audit committee, I want to make sure that, I have no suspicion of anybody, but I'd like to make sure, and I've been told on the finance committee, yeah, we have controls in place, but I haven't seen them. So I would just like some reassurance of that's the purpose of the audit committee, right? We're supposed to be safeguarding. I would hope safeguard the city's assets. So I would put that on the list. So, and I know that's a big ask. That's a huge ask for a one, 2-person shop. That's huge.
It's a less than one person shop is the problem.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know, I understand.
I think
that's huge.
Yeah, I think it needs to be prioritized, which controls you're gonna have me look at rather than this is like an inventory of all the written policies in the city, this
No,
item here. And to say that you're gonna audit every single thing is,
absolutely. So I would just say, show me the money. I would follow the money. That's what I would be doing. I'd be looking at those items that I just mentioned. Make sure we're safeguarding our money. So we don't have to discuss that anymore tonight. I just threw that out there.
I'm just guessing that the duration of the operation you're describing, Eric, would be greater than 1 to 4 months.
Oh, a couple of years, and then
Yeah.
So most government organizations, they actually have like an internal affairs or an internal audit. And that's what they do. They test all this stuff. I'm sure the city of Seattle does it. And then we're one of those unique small cities that actually have an auditor, and it kind of implies that we'd be doing that as well. So I'm just throwing that out there. Something to put in your head, think about.
That would be great. Bremerton hasn't been immune from employees. That was the whole public works scandal in 2019.
Yeah, small assets, was that what you're talking about, kind of walking away?
They weren't so small.
Yeah.
$24,999.
Oh yeah, I think I remember something about a loader or something.
It's a piece of heavy equipment.
Yeah, and that's what I'm referring to. And where were the internal controls there? And how were they? So yeah, okay.
Well, that was the plan. Was that Public Works was going to be completely reorganized with such internal controls in place, and then the pandemic.
Okay.
All right. So I assume. Okay. Does anybody have any further? Hang on. Anything further on this? We're authorizing and requesting Jenny to move forward on the bid splitting, and then okay. So I'm just going to announce that the next audit committee chair report to City Council will be February 14th, 2024. Eric, I really hope you're going to supplement me there. It is a new year, so we need to decide when we will be meeting. So we're moving on to agenda item 8, the meeting schedule. We previously discussed moving the meetings from 3rd Mondays to 4th Mondays, but keeping the 5 p.m. start time. Does this still work for everyone?
I'm good with 5 o'clock start time. Any day of the week is fine with me.
Okay. Is anyone? It's fine with me too, but I'm reading from the script. Would anyone be interested in starting at 4 p.m. on the 4th Monday, or starting earlier at 4:30 p.m. on the 4th Tuesday? Okay. So we have decided, please speak if you disagree, that the meetings will stay on the fourth Mondays and we will keep the 5 p.m. start time. Does that work for 2024, Christine? You had a question about that earlier, I remember.
Yes, I had discussed this with Jenny and that there may be some conflicts throughout the year due to holidays. So those tend to land no matter where we put the meetings, so we can work that out as we go.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being so good at working together. Okay, does anyone have anything for good of the order, which I can't see how that's any different from other matters?
Well, just to say, I will reiterate that I will absolutely not be here at the next meeting. So I'll see you in March.
Okay. Marwan, will you be able to make the February meeting?
I will be here.
Fate willing and the creeks don't rise.
Great.
Okay. Thank you all. I'm going to adjourn this meeting. I hope everybody got a chance to get out in the beautiful weather today. Wow, the gavel, imaginary gavel has adjourned the meeting, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.